Welcome to the Alpha Movement Podcast and another episode of the Mindset RX series, where I'm extracting the mindsets of the functional fitness world's best athletes and coaches, as well as some experts on neuroscience, psychology, and mindset in general. The teachings from the Mindset RX series are going to be compiled into the Mindset RX book for functional athletes and coaches, and the aim of that is to help them master their inner athlete and create a champ's mindset. On today's show, I am joined by the guys who have had the biggest influence on my training and coaching in the last 5 years, Julien Pineau and Richard Aceves. If you haven't been following their work through StrongFit, I can't recommend it enough. A little side note, there's a StrongFit Summit in Vienna, Austria in September. I think it's the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of the month. It'll be a 3-day extravaganza of serious knowledge and fun. I'm super excited to be attending, and also if you go there, you may get a little talk from myself too. Anyway, today we discuss coaching in all its importance, in particular how to build a master craftsman's mindset. It's always mindset with me. We also go into how to embrace intensity and how to get the most from it. A quick caveat: the sound quality, it's poor. We record this in Shoreditch Park on one of the hottest days of the year, so it's a bit windy at times, I'm afraid. But the content is top notch, and it's worth getting through the sound quality issues. That being said, it's an incredible episode, and please enjoy this episode with Julien Pineau and Richard Aceves.
So, welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, I know.
Why don't we start off with our last topic of conversation, i.e.
Yes.
Latest roll from there, guys.
Yeah, so we were talking about that because now we've been through 16 countries or something like that. 20. We've had over 20 seminars and everything, and it's been very interesting because so we've been to very successful boxes, over 200 members, all that stuff, and many times the box owner would take me aside and we would have that conversation about that at first I found very strange, where they would not be. They would like my box is doing okay, but I don't know exactly if what I'm doing it the right way, or every time the same subject came about they were not sure of how well they were doing because they did not have either a teams going to regionals or the games, or games or regional athletes in their boxes, and that seemed to make them less confident about what they were doing in their own gym. And the second, I would say, no, you're doing an awesome job. The job is normal people. That's what the job is, really. It's you have 250 members, 249 of them are normal people, and that's awesome. Like the amount of good that you do in your community with this is tremendous. It's much higher than if you had half of them going to regionals, because that does very little good for the community. So they're doing an awesome job out there, but for whatever reason they seem to be less confident about it because they did not have a team going to regionals. And so that at first, because it took me literally 70 to 80% of owners told me that. And so the second I would say, no, you're doing great. That is the job. You're doing awesome. You could see that sense of relief from them, where suddenly they were being validated in their job as owners, and that kind of shocked me, because I thought it was a given that all the box owners understood that that's what the real job is. That's what we want the community of CrossFit, the good that we do, goes through normal people. Like the fact that you don't have a regional team means nothing. It means nothing if you have one, by the way. Either way, like going to the game is great, but that does not mean it creates a sense of community, I guess, amongst CrossFit, which is good, but that's not what the job is. Your real identity of a box owner is with your regular people. And that was so shocking to me.
It can be the identity of the gym can become being a games athlete or teams athlete or CrossFit. If you want it to become that, the bigger issue that we're seeing is the loss of identity within the coaches. Nobody knows who they are as a coach. They look at it as a fun way to get out of doing a 9-to-5 job, or maybe they don't like the 9-to-5 job and they love movement and exercising and fitness, and they find CrossFit and they have a blast and they go open up their gym, but then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, this is actually a business that I need to run, and they don't have an identity of who they are or they want to be. And they see very successful people like Invictus and OPEX and
online. Okay, they see that on social media.
Right, they see, but they see that and they want to either piggyback off of that or try and learn and become that. But because it's not being true to themselves, then they really kind of lose the identity of what they want to be, and then it becomes a monotonous gym job again. It's the same thing as having an office job, but now you don't have an identity. You're trying to do somebody else's why, not your own.
But even when we talk about CJ, 90%, which is probably the most successful CrossFit gym in the world when we come to stuff like that, right? And even over there, because I know very well, it's 90% regular people.
Yeah.
So instead of 98% regular people, it's 90%. But even at Invictus, they spend most of their time taking care of normal people. Yes, they have the team and the athletes, but that's CJ himself. But the business evolves around all the normal people at the gym. So the social media aspect is giving the wrong idea of what CrossFit is. Mm-hmm. That is not CrossFit. The CrossFit game is not CrossFit. We need to have a serious conversation as a community about what CrossFit is, because I think the coaches don't understand. I think the box owners don't really understand. We need to go back 10 years ago, and everybody needs to go back 10 years ago. Everybody, go back 10 years ago, look at the CrossFit workouts on CrossFit.com, look at what CrossFit was about then. It was the community, the barbecues and everything. It was not about the games. There's a identity crisis right now in CrossFit, and they see the regional, they see the game, and they all jump in that, going like, that's what I'm going to create at my box. I'm like, okay, how? Because that's not what the job is.
On the subject,
I got news for you.
Your identities. How do you guys find your identities and find your philosophies that you believed in?
Mine has not changed. I'm still a humanist. I still want to better people. So at first, when we started the seminar, I just wanted to unload all the information, right? And just give it to people so they can use it and get better at their gym. Yeah. I've realized that, no, it doesn't work like that either. Like, you have to see what the need is. And so that I've changed my way of doing it, but my values have not changed. I still want to help everyone. I'm still a humanist. The how, that has changed,
Yeah, I think, for me, the values that I hold close to myself haven't changed. I think that one of the biggest reasons that I kind of, started going with Julien and we started kind of pushing forward the seminars and everything is that I found through my values, the identity that I wanted for myself with my old gym kind of changed a little bit. And so I think that was one of the biggest reasons I was ready to move on to something else. And this allowed me to fulfill, what I've wanted to do since I had my rock climbing accident. So it allowed me to go in that sense. Like I was telling Coach, like it's really funny because when I was applying for my affiliation the first year and you had to submit the letter, I took it very seriously. I told him my whole story and I wanted to become an affiliate and work with CrossFit to help progress and change the fitness community as a whole, not just my box. And so I think doing this now, I'm finally doing that, fulfilling the mission statement that I set out for myself 9 years ago. So it's kind of cool. I think that you just have to know who your identity is, and sometimes you start to stray away because it's hard having a gym.
It's called life anyway, right? It's hard to know who you are. You
struggle in a gym, right? And you don't know what to do to make it successful. And you try all these different avenues because you have all these mentoring programs that are telling you how to run the business, but then that takes away of who you are as a coach. So I think that it's okay to go towards those mentoring programs that allow you to work on the business side of things.
There's a guy doing my warm-up over there. I kid you not.
No, bullshit.
I look at the guy over there. He's doing my body weight warm-up. There's a guy...
We're in the park, guys. Sorry.
We're in the park. No, sorry, I cut you off. But there's a guy doing my body weight warm-up over there. That is so funny. Yeah, sorry, I cut you off. But I was like, good. What the fuck is he doing?
What is going on? No,
sorry,
but it's that identity that you do with yourself, right? Like you see it in cooking all the time. You work under a chef, and the chef is supposed to help you develop who you are, your creativity, your side of things, the way you look at food, what resonates within you, and then what are you going to put out there, and then you go and open up your own restaurant, and you do that for other people. And I think that all these mentoring programs that I keep looking and I keep seeing, it's all about let's generate business. And then they want to create a mold because it worked for their gym. They want to create the same exact mold at your gym. And that's not how it should work.
Then it's not a restaurant.
Then it's a Starbucks, it's a McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's not being here in East London. You go to Brick Lane and there's 9 different coffee shops. Each one you walk into, they all serve coffee, but they're all different. They all have different notes. They're all unique and yet they're all successful. And that when you look at when Glassman said there can be 6 gyms in a town, they can all be successful. That's because each gym is supposed to have their own identity. When I owned my gym, I knew the identity that I wanted wanted for my gym and for myself as a coach, not even my gym, myself as a coach. And I would tell people, I was like, if you want to be competitive, there's other gyms. If you want to do certain things, there's other gyms. This is who I am. This is who I am as a coach. If you can resonate with that and if you can connect with me on that level, then we can move forward. If not, there's lots of other places you can go too. But we can't all just try and conform to the same system.
I think that's exactly the point. Like the coffee shops in London explain exactly what CrossFit should be. Right now, all those business models are basically business models they took from the business world of Starbucks or places like that, which is really a franchise. Everybody is the same, and even the name of your gym the name of the gym is going to be OPEX now. Mm-hmm. It's like Reebok this and OPEX that and everything. But that I don't think that's what CrossFit started out to be. To me, CrossFit was always the hipster coffee shop.
Yeah.
Everybody is unique. Everybody has their own thing. Yes, they serve coffee, but there's slight differences you can make here and there. The coffee, the beans, but it's all the idea. So Howard Schultz out of Starbucks started that revolution of the third place, which is not home, not work, where there's a community around coffee shops. He went the franchise way because he wanted to run a large chains business. But out of doing that, he allowed all those fancy, the hipster coffee shop to now have their own culture and identity. And each, there was literally one next to the other. There were 5 different ones. They all look different. They're all very hipster. You guys invented hipster. There's no question. Yeah. They all look very artistic. I wanted to have coffee in each of them. Well, I mean, we did anyway. But, I would get a double espresso in each. I mean, because they're all different. There's the coffee, slightly different taste, but it's a different experience in each one. That to me is what the CrossFit gym is supposed to be. We're not supposed to be Starbucks. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be a hipster coffee shop where everybody has a slight different understanding of CrossFit. That's what this is, and we are losing that. We are losing it to I'm supposed to have either a games team or I'm going to follow this program or that program, and they're just going to give me a cookie cutter form of doing my business, doing this. We are losing the craftsmanship, and that is a major problem. I think there's an identity crisis in CrossFit right now, and we need to go at it because that I think it's going to hit us a lot harder than people think. We should have a sense of urgency towards solving that identity crisis, because I think it's going the wrong way. Well, again, the number of owners that seem to not have the confidence toward who they are as owners and where they want to go with it, that worries me.
Like, if you're paying somebody to do the programming for your gym and you're the owner of the gym, what's the point of you having, like, now you're just a business manager? Yeah. Then why don't you go into something that makes way more money than a CrossFit gym? Yes. I mean, if you're going to be passionate about it, then be passionate about it and be involved in it. Don't start paying somebody to run your books. Don't start paying somebody to do your website and to do this and to do that. And then all of a sudden you're just running a business. If you want to have a successful business and make lots of money, you're better off selling shit online. It'll probably take a lot less time than owning a CrossFit gym.
Listen to Gary Vee and go in the
if you're gonna open up your gym, put your soul into it. Like, the best boxes that we've been into, they have their values. They have everything is just so well presented, and they're confident about what they do, and the way that they bring up their coaches. You know, the way that they're trying to educate their coaches to become better, and there's a certain passion behind it. Yes, it needs to run like a business because it is a business, but it should be a business that you run passionately. You look at any chef, like we went to I can never say it right, so I'm going to butcher it. Hertog Jan off of Bruges, the 3-star Michelin restaurant. It's been 2 or 3 generations now in the same family, and the son came out and he talked to us, and you could just sense the passion that they still have for just having a beautiful, creating an experience. And so if you're not creating an experience at your gym and you just become a regular gym and you're charging $150, people are going to bitch about that, because I can go to 24 Hour Fitness and just go to a fucking regular gym that has functional fitness and I can do my own thing.
Isn't that what we're trying to get away from anyway?
Yeah.
That's why, like, for example, like the Gold Gym has revolutionized fitness in the United States. It never really worked in Europe, though. I think CrossFit Gym could be that for Europe. Could be the Gold Gym, could be like really revolutionize fitness the way we understand it in Europe, grow like that, but then it has to be done like the hipster coffee shop. It cannot be Starbucks. That's the franchising like this is an American way, and even over there it's not working. No. Because it was that libertarian mindset of you're all going to be different people and you're going to grow. We cannot blend that back in with the system of the Gold Gym. So they're all selling those things, but it's in there's no passion. It's the
same thing that happened with martial arts.
Yes, exactly.
All of a sudden, the UFC
gym is controlling everything. And so now the UFC gym are controlling how we teach jiu-jitsu because all of them were not that. So that's where they need to learn a business because they were so bad at business, they didn't work that well. Those guys offer like an hourly rate, and they're all like, okay, fine. And so now all the small jiu-jitsu places in LA, for example, are closed down because the UFC gym took over. Is that what we want? Because that's not what I wanted out of jiu-jitsu. Thank God I had John Machado because they're so successful, but I wanted to be able to talk to him and, him guiding me through the mindset of jiu-jitsu. If I had learned jiu-jitsu in the UFC gym the way it's built right now instead of John Machado, I would have quit because as a blue belt I could not find my own game. It required me to talk to John on a philosophical level about jiu-jitsu, to me understanding where I needed to go toward the flow and not fighting and all that. That was a process that took a long time for me. Most people quit as blue belts because they cannot find their own games. If you don't have a coach that is that has a passion, he wants you to understand the nature of jiu-jitsu, the soul of jiu-jitsu, you'll quit. Because who wants to fight 4 times a week and get fucked up and the top of your finger starts peeling off every day, like you literally afraid you're going to lose your fingerprints. Nobody. That's where people quit. You need the coach that master, that jiu-jitsu master, explains to you the soul of it so you can keep on going. And if we lose this in CrossFit, we're screwed.
It's a different subject as well because it requires people finding more about themselves, and that doesn't just happen in the gym. That happens outside.
That's happened outside. But this is where the craftsmanship. So, as a humanist, I always wanted to help coaches, right? So that's when I realized when I started to do the seminars, is me giving them the technical stuff was not enough. We needed to go further. So then we started to do. I told Rich, it's like, please use your restaurant experience, use your story with the accident. You need to reach to them and explain to them what the core values, how much it matters to have core values, and it's not just that that shiny stuff with a business model and everything. It's like it has to be, you have to come into it. It's craftsmanship. It's making a beautiful furniture versus IKEA, right? How long does it take to make a beautiful chair? I don't know, weeks if you do it, but it's going to be your chair. You put your soul into it versus IKEA. That's the difference. We need to go to that. We need to go to the craftsmanship. And when we lost that mindset of craftsmanship, we lost also the understanding of what the ROI, the return on investment, is. When you're a craftsman, you put that much work into that much result. It's a ristretto, right? It's a super short espresso, very, very strong. That's who we are. We don't make the Americano that big. The return on investment is very small when you're a craftsman. You put a lot of very precise work in a very tiny little place. That's the job. That's how we help all those people and everything. So that identity crisis, we have to go at it, because all those gym owners that we talked to, those box owners, were doing a great job. They were building their community, helping them. But you could tell when I told them, no, you're doing awesome, that's the job, the sense of relief that they felt, knowing they were going the right way. That's what I was surprised. That's what surprised me the most, is that the sense of relief that they felt out of something I thought was obvious. Obviously, it's not. There is an issue there. I think there's a
loss of identity.
Loss of identity between what is being promoted at CrossFit through social media and what the root of CrossFit is, really. And so there's that gap between the two, and that to me is a very dangerous one. It's a very dangerous one.
So, looking at constructing your identity as a coach, you strongly identify as a humanist. That didn't come from coaching, am I right?
No.
So where did that come from?
Me came out of my own personal values. I had great influences in my life, like my brother, who was so smart. My grandfather, who was a very famous political man in France, but also a great humanist. But he got shaped through martial arts, through being gifted at grappling, but trying to fight my way through. It didn't work. I needed to go way further than just the physical aspect if I wanted to progress in jiu-jitsu. And so that was a great tool for me to learn, because God knows I was stubborn. So I tried to fight my way through. Didn't work. Popped my arms on both sides 5 times total. It's just, I started to make progress the day I understood jiu-jitsu. The day I let go of the ego, let go of the fighting, and just starting to flow. Got my ass kicked, and that was okay. And that through John Machado, and that started me on the road of, okay, so it's not just that. It's there's a deeper level there, and that was the hard part. But really what got me started was the notion of craftsmanship. They say you can be everything in life. No, that's bullshit. You can be anything in life, but you can't be everything. That is not true. The best craftsmen we talk to are people that have put their soul 24/7, 365 days a year for 20 years into it. Like that shoemaker we talked to this
Justin.
week in London, Justin. It was so awesome. The guy has been making men's shoes for 26 years. So it was great because he went wholesale. He had like 200 employees. He didn't like it because he didn't like the stress of it. He felt he was losing his creative juice. He was losing himself. So he went down to a small shop, but he makes shoes for Bonos, for Kanye West. He just loved making shoes. So instead of getting lost into the business aspect, he went back into doing what he wants, what he loves, which is making shoes. So now he has a small store. He might get a little bit bigger. It was an awesome conversation. That's a craftsman. 26 years, all he did was men's shoes. He didn't do men's shoes and women's shoes. He made men's shoes and that's how it works. A craftsmanship means you do one thing and you get really, really good at that. That's what I did. I'm just trying to get good at one thing, understanding movement and being able to teach it. That's it. I don't go tomorrow. I'm going to try to teach gymnastics for Olympians. No, I'm trying to be a craftsman at the art of movement, and that's all I do. I don't go out there. I don't have another job. Like that's, by the way, if you think you're going to have a successful CrossFit box while having another job, yeah, right. That's you might be slightly mistaken. That's something they sold you at first, but that doesn't work anymore. Then you're just running the box. Somebody else is really the soul of it. But that's what I don't know. Trying to become a craftsman is you do one thing. The Machados for Jiu-Jitsu, they were born in it, grew up in it. That's all they ever did. Yep. That's how you become really great at something. But it requires you to have the confidence and the mental toughness to do one thing and one thing only. And that, I think a lot of people cheat a little bit on that. They're always like, I could do this, I could do that. The second you cheat on the craft will cheat on you. Yeah,
it's a way of staying safe. As soon as you don't reach out for one thing, it's like, I'm safe because I can't fail at it because I'm not going 100%.
Yeah, I can always go. If I fail at this, I can always go left. I can always do something else. Yeah. You cheated on the craft. The craft will cheat on you. Like, you will never make progress that way. You have to have the balls to go into a relationship full on. Like I will. That's what I do. It fails away. By the way, it can still fail. Nobody says that's the only that you will have success. Yeah, you might fail, but the only way you're going to get great at it, the process is you 100% in it. Yeah. And that's something we saw time and time again. We talked to some really cool people on this trip. Some craftsmen.
Who stands out?
Oh, my man Ruben. Ruben has my heart.
Yeah, he's Ruben.
He's the bartender in Singapore.
Yeah.
Oh, like the dude. We sat down for dinner, and it was like a whiskey 50% off night, and
so twice as much.
Dangerous.
Exactly, that's
dangerous.
Usually finishes badly.
And I don't know that much about whiskey, so I was like, hey, like I don't know much, but you guys have a large selection. Like, what do you recommend? And he's like, well, if you trust me, he's like, I'll bring out food that I like to pair with whiskeys, and he would just explain things. Like he would try whiskeys with 3 drops of water, 4 drops, and 5 drops, and 6 drops, and see which tasted best and which brought out the notes best. And to me that was an amazing experience. That was one of the best.
And if coaches can't see the parallels of being able to talk to their athletes who come to them in that way, like knowing their subject inside out. And
mine was a barber.
Yeah,
he's a barber guy in Rome.
I love that story.
Yeah, that's the best coach ever, man. That's just like Ruben.
Yeah,
it's the same idea. Just like the shoe, Justin, the shoemaker, the shoe designer. We just met. We met a few people like that. They, in a way, they change you because I knew that, but then there's a proof. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with movement, has nothing to do with martial art, but there's another craftsman, another artist, like the shoe designer. By the way, it's the same conversation every time. It's exactly the same conversation every time. And it's how much, without the passion, without 10,000 passionate hours, you are not going anywhere. Like, don't think for a second you're going to make this work just because you have a good business model that you got from Apple. Or that's the shiny stuff is useless without the real soul behind it, which is your passion for the craft. Are you willing to be 80 years old still trying to learn about the craft, like the sushi guy?
Right, Giro.
82, insane, still wants to work every day. If you don't have that mindset, like, you will never be as great as you should be. could be or should be.
The first 3,000 hours, that's scary, isn't it? Like, that's the bit where it's like, oh shit, what's actually happening? Can you describe what that felt like for you?
Because you don't make that much progress. I'll use martial arts for that. You're still a blue belt, right? So you get the purple belt, and now you learn your own game, and it's a trip. Yeah, and it's such a great trip. That's when really jiu-jitsu started for me, was as a purple belt. Like, I relaxed, and I started to find my own game and my flow. And first of all, I still got my ass kicked every single day, every single time I spar with John, even and the black belts. And suddenly I realized the size of the road ahead. And every single time I make a step, it seemed to me like there were 2 more steps ahead of me. So it started like this, and then suddenly it's that big, and then at the black belt it got even bigger. And you start to go, shit, is it endless? Yes. And that's... But the salvation comes the day you figure out that it was never about reaching it. It was always about the process. The process of getting there changes you as a person, makes you become who you wanted to be. It's a process that changes you, not reaching the destination. That's usually something you figure out once you're on the way, once you're further down that road. Yeah, once you're there, you realize it was never about getting there. It was always about the process. Like, what I enjoy the most about life right now is, now that I've had the confidence into what I do and then all the stuff that works well, I realize it's a process of doing it that is so great. I've been aiming for something my entire life, not realizing it was never about that thing, but just about the process of getting there that would give me what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so you find your destiny on the road to escape it, kind of thing. So it's about the process. That is something you don't necessarily realize the first 3,000 hours, because you go, oh my god, I have so much to do. So you put your head down and you work as you should, but then you don't realize the process that is the greatest thing of all. And because the road is so far ahead of you, you realize that because you're just focusing on I need to get there, which I guess is necessary, but that's the hard part of it.
Yeah, there's the brilliant analogy about the longer someone has a black belt, the more it becomes white, on a very literal sense.
Yes, exactly. Because then you have so much more fun then. That's the key too that kills you, is like, I have so much more fun watching jiu-jitsu matches now, because the pressure of being a world champion, all that stuff is gone. So now you can truly learn the art of it. And that's the problem at first, is you're just focusing on the wrong things. Just like that owner who wants to have a team at the games, that's not where the cool process is. Like, now I tell everybody my greatest success story is Michael Mann, which was a very normal guy. That's where the fun in coaching is now, is taking those young coaches and allowing them to see that the greatness of the job is fixing normal people, not taking Lauren Fisher to the games. That it doesn't change anybody's life to do that. So that's the hard part, is focusing on, is finding out who and what you are, and that's where the first 3,000 to 5,000 hours are. That is a hard one. There's no question. You have to go through it, but that is hard. That's the hard part of it. That's the hard part.
And that being process driven applies equally as much to athletes as well as coaches. And you look at the best athletes, whether they're best in terms of they fix their back that's been screwing them up for years, and it's the people who become in love with the process and how can they get better and how can I learn more. And you look back at your favourite athletes and they're always the ones that's like, give me more, I want to learn more about the process. The process,
right? You have to fall in love with the process. And that's the problem, is that a mentor can help you, but it's such an introspective thing of learning to love the process. It's easier to say after the fact, by the way. Once you figure it out and once you have everything going, it's kind of, because looking back, I had no clue, but now my life is superior to any dreams about it that I ever had. And so now I'm just enjoying. I have no goals in mind. I mean, we do, because just to see how we're going to help more people, but that's not. I'm just enjoying seminar to seminar and the traveling and everything. So it brought me a stillness that I guess you would define as happiness. I guess that's what happiness would be, right? A stillness where you're not fighting the world continuously. You just start to go within it. And it brought a peace, a stillness in my mind that I would think is happiness. And I realize now I have no clue what happiness. I confused fun and happiness. I confused
comfort and happiness.
Comfort and happiness, or excitation with happiness, and ego-driven, winning. I think I confused winning as happiness for a very long time. And I didn't realize it's actually the stillness That is the key. And the stillness you get through loving the process. If you're just reaching for something without loving the process, you have all that stuff, that excitation in your head. That is not happiness, man. It's just it's so loud that you'll cover everything else. And I think you're mistakenly thinking that's happiness because you can't hear anything else. But all the shit is still there. It's that stillness that really moves you forward.
Yeah. Richard, how did you develop introspection? And was it a slow process, or was there particular events? Obviously, the rock big one.
Yeah, I always like to earn my respect. I've always loved the hardship more than the, like, I like self-sabotage. Like, if everything's stupid, I like self-sabotage. It's the worst. And he was the first one that noticed it on me, because he's like, why the fuck are you trying to PR? You have a meet in 3 days. That's when you PR. And I was like, but I need to quit it now. It's like, I can't, when I get to the top and I feel like there's no more challenge, I need to see how far down I can get so I can fight back up. Like, I used to join American football just for Hell Week. I didn't care about going to play. I just wanted to see if I could survive Hell Week better than everybody else. And so I think that to me comes with, I want to make sure that if I get to the top, it's because I fought and I learned my way. I didn't learn the way that somebody else wanted me to learn. If I'm successful in life, it's because I did it my way, making my own mistakes, learning from my own mistakes, and staying true to who I was. And so I think that's really where my identity came in. Is, I hated working for people, so I opened up my own gym, and I went through every mistake of the book. I lived in my car. I had, I started out in a couple of car parking spots. Like, every mistake was made, but I knew that. But when I had a successful gym, I knew that I came to it not because it was just like, if I have a debate with somebody, or if I need to claim a statement, I'm claiming it on my own merit, not, well, Julien, my coach from StrongFit, says this, and this. No, I'm saying it because I've played with it. I've tried it out both ways. I've tried the OPEX, the Invictus, the Brute. I've tried Misfits. I've tried all the ways, and this is what I've found has worked best. And that's me not standing on my coach's shoulder.
It takes balls to do that.
I hate people. I always say you can't be a chihuahua that's always barking, and then all of a sudden you go and hide behind somebody as soon as something comes up, right? So it's the same thing. Like, I'm here to talk to anybody, and we can talk about anything, but I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm not going to piggyback off anybody.
You need to read Cyrano of Bergerac. Okay. There's an entire part where he explains, because they ask him, why do you keep pissing off all those powerful people? And are you looking for trouble? And he has an entire thing where he explained that basically what he wants to be is that small tree versus a grape vine that follows the humongous oak tree.
Okay.
It's like, I much rather be that small tree, not going very far but on my own, than being the grape vine that just follows the oak tree and goes all the way to the top. And he had an entire thing, like 3 pages long, explaining what his fight in life is, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it was exactly that.
Yeah.
I understand completely.
I like it.
What was the reference again, just so people...
Cyrano of Bergerac, the guy with the big nose?
Yeah.
And so it's a play, but it was from Edmond, it was written beautifully about that part where he said... grandir, mais tout seul. To grow not very far, but by myself.
Yeah.
And it was a gorgeous part where he explains. So he fights every single powerful man, end up dying in the play because of that. But it was a fight on his own term his entire life, and never ever backing down from himself, basically.
I can't see how you've applied that at all.
No, I don't. It was a beautiful... sorry. Well, actually, that was a conversation with my father when I was 18, where I tried to explain that to him.
Yeah.
And for him, that was like a stupid way to look at life. But he was a coward, so I would expect him to think it was a stupid way to look at life. That was exactly the difference between him and I.
So let's use this opportunity as a chance to say what's different or what's evolved from StrongFit between the last time we spoke, which was, I think, is 9-12 months ago, Richard,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So what's evolved? What are the biggest changes for you guys?
So many.
Yeah, I think like the biggest change now is we tend to travel so much and we see so many gyms and we see what's going on in coaches' minds, and so we're really trying to focus on yes, teaching the principles and making sure that the coaches are getting the knowledge necessary to help their clients. But now half the coaches week that we do and part of the seminar we do is really about core values and really trying to find out your why and what's your identity. So I have, the first day of coaches week is really just that, let's just sit down and why are you wanting to be a coach and what made you pay the money to come here to do a coaches week, because it's not cheap.
No, it's not.
But we're make sure that you want it. But what's the reason for you being a coach? And for me, I try to get more on you as a personal personal coach, a person that wants to help someone. How are you as a person? So I do my coaches week night out, which coach sometimes joins a little bit.
No, I leave by 10. I got a daughter. She's my excuse. I'll bring her just so I can leave by 9:30 because I know what's going to happen next. I'm not doing this.
It's funny how CrossFitters all like to be challenged.
I can drink more than you. So it's 5 a.m. They're all plastered. The next day they come coaches week. They're like this. I told you not to do it. I told you.
But it's that, I had a coach last week that he's always at a professional 15. He's very work, and he's you actually mellowed me out a little bit. I realized that it's okay to have fun, and that's what it is. It's you get to see the character of people, and I just want to build relations and network and help people be the best version of themselves. That's really all it is. That's really what the seminar and everything we're trying to do, the mentoring program that we have, everything is not so you can be a cookie cutter version of coach,
or even even the technical part.
Yeah,
it goes deeper.
That's secondary. It's secondary. That's the easy part.
And at first, I'll be the one first to say it. At first, that's all I was. I was very technical about this is my knowledge. Go get it. Go out there. And now half of it, I would say, is more about okay. So there's the technical stuff, but then what?
Yeah.
Who are you as a person? How are you going to apply it to your people? The other half now is let's talk about coaching.
Right.
Not the technical aspect of coaching, not how do I fix the hammy or stuff like that. Let's talk about coaching itself. How are you going to deal with your people? How are you going to deal with a class of 20 people? Have you ever talked to a principal of middle school or a teacher who has kids with learning deficiencies? How do they reach out to their people? That's what we need. Yeah. So we saw a huge gap in what a coach is, or I don't want to say should be, but what is coaching, right? That is a question most people cannot answer. Coaching is not do wall ball and double unders. You're a class manager, you're not a coach. There's a difference there, right? Okay, so we realized at the seminar and then that's basically half of it, we need to define coaching. Classman defined fitness, then at first I wanted to define movement, which I'm doing more and more and more. But then at some point I was okay, we need to define coaching because that is sorely lacking. Yeah. I think no one has a clear definition of what a coach is.
Yeah. Everybody just wants to teach the technical aspect of it. Or they may
manager.
Teach interaction on one-on-ones, but when you have classes and group settings and you have someone that
But that's what the business is. They all have a business based on group classes, and the only way they learn to interact with people is on a one-on-one. And then they tell you, you have to relate to every person in your class. Okay, there's 16 of them have an hour. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's 3 minutes each then. And while I do that, the other 15, there's nobody. How can that possibly work? So that's a very weird stuff because I said I did a post where I was we need to learn from teachers how to deal with a class system. Everybody was OPEX does this, OPEX does that. No, first of all, it teaches you values, which you can learn from philosophy or other stuff. And second of all, it's a one-on-one thing, how to change people. Okay, but how do we deal with 20 people in a class that are all at different levels and 80% of them have learning deficiencies when it comes to movement and fitness? That's a coaching skill, right? We can learn that from teachers, like elementary teachers. So we need to define what coaching is and do a better job at it, basically. And the one-on-one stuff is not enough if your business is relying on classes, which sounds kind of obvious when I say it like that, and yet that's the main thing. And so otherwise you become a class manager. Yeah. No. And so there's a huge conversation there to have about what coaching is, and it's far more complex than people think it is. That to be truly a coach, what does it take? And then building the community. And we go back to the craftsmanship, right? It's so much more work than just having the guys giving you a plan for the class and then the business model on how to do marketing through Facebook. Mm-hmm. You need that, don't get me wrong, but can we stop thinking this is what the job is?
Are there any key points that you've discovered, like anything that really stands out in what he's coaching?
It's a craft. It's a craft.
Yeah.
And he has to be treated as such. So they have to stop learning in books. I'm all for reading. God knows I learn all the time. But first of all, learn something else than strength and conditioning. You're going to do yourself a great favor there.
Yeah.
And they have to stop learning in books. You are not learning to deal with people in books. There's a technical aspect that you need, but it's like a teacher, right? You can go to school to be a teacher, like you can have your masters and everything. Do you really think that teaches you how to deal with 28-year-olds or 8 to 10-year-olds in a class? Do you really think that's where they're going to teach you? No, it's experience. It's learning to deal with kids. It's learning patience. It's all the stuff from outside that you're going to take who you are as a person into that classroom. And if you're not yourself, those kids will pick up on it really fast. And if you don't care, they'll pick up on it even faster. And now you lost half of them. Now you lost all of them. Nobody's listening in your class. The best teacher are people that can connect to kids, that are true to themselves, and the kids can feel that.
They're real human beings.
They're not teaching you that in the master's program. That's not what they're teaching you. They're giving you the technical stuff, right? The technical stuff is easy. Yeah. Anybody can learn that. All that strength and conditioning stuff is just memorization. Mm-hmm. Like, go read Louis Simmons' book. Like, people talk about shit, they're not researching. Like, everybody talks about Louis Simmons. Every time I ask in a seminar, who has read Louis Simmons' book? Because I have twice. And usually there's one out of torture. Yes, it was. It's the same story every 4 pages. So I was like, Jesus Christ, everybody read it? Nobody read it. I have 1 or 2 people at every seminar at most have actually read the book.
Yeah.
But they all talk about it though. Yeah. They're all quoting Louis Simmons left and right. He's a god of it, and yet nobody has read the book. I was like, what are you guys doing?
How many people questioned it and thought...
But you can't question it if you even read it.
Yeah.
They need to start by reading it. If you want to believe it's gospel, fine, but at least read it first. It's people that quote the Bible but only read like 3 phrases of it, never actually read the damn thing, and now they quote it because they knew, like, they've seen it on Facebook twice, and now they all go like, oh God, it's a faith-based system. That's what they kill me. Read first, question, but understand that it's a craft. That's where it starts. It's a craft. It requires so much work, just like you're a teacher. So coaches need to understand you can't just read especially on Facebook, or you read all those guys on Facebook that have 3 articles, and even if they are Brett Contreras, which is a very, very smart guy, reading his articles will not make you move better. It will give you an understanding of it, but guess what? Unless you've practiced all that, it won't lead you anywhere. Yeah. Stop reading articles and just regurgitating information and not knowledge and things that make you good at what you do. It does not. The return on investment on all this is that big. You need to absorb information, you need to regurgitate knowledge. That process is making a ristretto. You put that much coffee beans, you get an espresso that big. That's what knowledge is. It's all information end up with that much knowledge. You need to spend the time doing that. It's a cold brew then, it's not even a ristretto. I mean, it's one drip at a time, and it takes 24 hours to get that.
2 sips.
Yeah. That's what coaching is. It's making cold brew. You need to get that massive information to get that much knowledge out of it. And guess what? You're gonna have to have the perfect filter. Build a filter. It takes fucking work. That's where the work is. Yeah. Is learning the craft. It's not reading all those articles. You just absorb information. It does nothing for you.
But it does a lot for your ego, and you compare yourself to others, and you can make yourself seem above others.
And you can win arguments on Facebook. Yeah. That's why I'm backing away. I told Richard I'll stick with just my coaches on Facebook, because I'm tired of people that are just trying to win arguments without even trying to understand. Piggyback of the name of other people without even reading what I said in the first place. Yeah. I literally had a guy when I said this is not a hinge when I was doing lower back extension, and literally his first phrase is, it would be wise to say this is not a hinge. It was written in the description that it wasn't a hinge, and the guy's like, it'd be wise to not to mistake that for a hinge. I said it. It's written right there, a line above you. But that's what I have
significance. It all comes down to significance.
It's like, so that, of course, that guy is like, he's studying exercise physiology to become a physiotherapist. And so those are people that read in books, and suddenly they've never done a movement. They never learned Flex magazine. They've never had passion for the craft. I don't understand that people have never read Flex magazine. Don't you know what a dumbbell incline is? And how can you possibly go into all this without even trying bodybuilding workout? I don't get that part. But then you have no passion for the craft. Why are you doing this? Do you want to open a Starbucks? Because every single hipster coffee shop we've been to, man, they don't play around with they can't tell you what beans it is. You know that they weigh the differences. They weigh everything. It's like 26 grams and everything. Yeah, so they have a temperature on the water. They go like, do you want 21 grams? Do you want 28 grams? I was like, what?
What's the difference?
And then the guy went into a 30-minute explanation. I was like, I love you already. He was like, I want 28 grams now because it's stronger. But he explained to me everything. And then he made the coffee and you go, I can tell the difference. And it's such a bigger experience because now I know why he put 28 grams and not 21. That's what you need to be curious enough to understand, to ask why it's 28 grams and not 21. Yeah. You can't just drink it. Yeah. Go ask why. Yeah. Because you learned something.
Yeah, exactly.
And as a coach, you need to know the difference between 28 and 21 grams. And most guys out there, they don't. They read about the 28 grams, they go, yeah, the coffee is stronger. Did you taste both of them? Yeah. That you can tell the difference. If the answer is no, guess what? You're not a coach. Yes. Then you have information that you cannot translate into actual reality stuff. Therefore, you have information, not knowledge.
We got a coach say, someone reached out to me and they were like, yeah, you should be doing pull-ups with a close grip, hand over the bar. And so I got a message. She's like, hey, do I need to be having my hands closed when I do pull-ups? I was like, it doesn't give a shit. You have to pull yourself up over the bar. That's what counts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I was like, did you ask why? And she's like, I did, because I was like, you've never told us anything. And I was like, yeah, so what was the answer? I saw it on a video on YouTube. That doesn't, at least tell me why the person on YouTube was saying it. Like, don't just, I saw it on YouTube
he said it,
and he said it. So that's what we're going to do. It makes no sense. Understand what you're making people do.
Plus, try both. You tell me.
Yeah. But it's like, people just don't understand things. They read programming and they read the strategic aspect of it, and that's what they put out there. But then you start asking them to explain to you what it takes to do a squat, and they're like, oh, well, it takes sending your hips back and you push the knees out.
Then they tell you something. The hips go below the and I'm like, no. That's not what we ask. Yeah.
No, but then they're like,
which muscle?
I told them, I'm like, I'm not asking you to educate me and tell me how to do a squat. I want you to tell me what does it take to do a squat. Different questions. Listen to the wording that's coming, and then they're blank. They're like, oh, well.
Well, you have to break parallel. I'm like, I understand. Which muscles?
Yeah. Are you breaking parallel because it's a standard for competition? Or are you breaking parallel because it's the most functional way?
Are you using your quads, your glutes? Which one? Like, do you even know?
And they don't have an answer. Yeah. And that's where you start to see a huge gap that is going on right now within the fitness industry and within the coaches is nobody knows. Like, nobody understands it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to let people understand what they're doing.
What do you cue joints as a coach? Everybody's cueing joints. Yep. I'm like, okay, do you know where your elbow is? Can you feel it? You can look at it, but you can't feel it. Yeah. But if I say squeeze your triceps, you know, right? So I'm like, how come we don't cue muscles, but we always cue joints? Because when you say knees out, there's about 30 different ways to sending the knees out. Mm-hmm. If I say use your glute mid, there's only one way, right? But people say, I don't know, my clients don't know where their muscles are. Isn't that what you should be doing first then? Yeah. Exactly.
Educate them.
They're like, oh, they don't know how to engage their glutes. I'm like, well, why are we talking about squatting if they can't even engage their glutes? And then they go like, well, yeah, but my job. No, your job is that. If you cannot give your people an understanding of how to move in space, then they can't move properly. Then where are we going? So it's the same thing. Like knees out, that's an easy cue. Mm-hmm. But knees out, you can do it as an abduction, you can do it as external torque, you can use you can do it in many different ways, right? So knees out in itself doesn't mean anything if there's no meaning behind it. It's like defining love without understanding the emotion. Yeah. Then it's useless. You're not understanding what you're talking about. So knees out without understanding which muscle to use is just as useless as talking about love without understanding the emotion. And so they have to stop cueing joints and then start to cue muscles, because that's a better story for people to relate to, and understand which muscle they're supposed to use. That's the physiotherapy mentality, where they always talk about joints. Have you noticed that no problem when it comes to shoulder or hip or whatever is always a large muscle? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every time they give you a reason, it's a small muscle somewhere. I'm like, so the large muscle don't do anything. The pec, the lats, they're just there for show, right? They're just because it's big and then he flexes and he looks nice, but really they don't do anything. Like the latissimus dorsi doesn't do anything, the pecs don't do anything, the tricep, they don't do much. If there's a problem, it's always like a small muscle in your rotator cuff. Or yeah, exactly. It's always a rotator cuff. It's always it's a scapula. It's always a scapula. It's not because the lats don't work. the major muscle don't work. It's always because there's a scapular problem. Because that's what makes you deadlift 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's
the scapula.
Yeah.
If you have strong knees and a strong scapula, you're deadlifting whatever weight you want. Like that's obvious.
I can take that as a quote and make it into a meme.
Please. Yeah, exactly. No, dorsiflexion and scapula will allow you to squat whatever weight you need.
Yeah.
Put that as
Let's keep fixing it.
Yeah. Because that's the debate on the squat right now. It's always dorsiflexion. I'm like, that's what's going to make you squat 500 pounds. Is dorsiflexion. That's what's stopping you from squatting 500 pounds is your dorsiflexion. I'm like, okay, sure. So that's the conversation right now. The way I'm like, so we need to define movement, but I think we need to define coaching.
Yeah, and it starts with curiosity.
It's a craft. If you're not curious,
just like tattoo art, it's anything else, man. You have to put in the time. But you have to put in the time, and you have to understand what you're putting the time in for.
Imagine a tattoo artist that is not curious. Shit, I would not want to go there and see that guy.
Stencils.
Yeah, imagine the hipster coffee shop. Then he would make shitty coffee. Then why would you go there?
Yeah.
It's, I think, but again, so we go back to who you are as a coach. I think it's fundamental that coaches understand that this is who they are. The tattoo guy, the hipster coffee shop, the craftsman, the sushi chef, an actor, a sculptor, a painter, artist, or a craftsman, not a Starbucks coffee shop owner. Yeah. They don't even own it, but like manager. Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect analogy. Yeah. You don't own the Starbucks coffee shop; you just manage it. Yeah. That is not what a coach is. Then you're a manager. Mm-hmm. The coach is an owner. He owns his small coffee shop. Yeah. That's the difference. And I think this is a conversation we need to have because to me there's a vast misunderstanding when it comes to that. And yes, the social media is not helping.
Right.
But that idea that you're just managing that place and then you have a Starbucks. You don't have a hipster coffee shop. No. I want a hipster coffee shop. I don't want a Starbucks. That's the difference. And if we don't get that part, then I think then CrossFit will go exactly the way the Gold Gym went. Where you basically build something so people don't come, so you spend, you know what I mean, like, and all that stuff, and then now you do 27 minutes of burpees because it looks tough, and then now you start building. So what did we see? We see a guy who hired a marketing guy to see which workout will lead to more people in his gym. So
he hired a logistics guy. And he took all the workouts and then he would base it on how many people showed up that day depending on the workout. So then the entire programming was based on which workouts made more people come in. The whole program was based on that. You're like, that doesn't make any sense.
And you know what happened? The same guy, he had a gym in SoCal that was 8,000 square feet and another one that was 11,000 square feet. Yeah. So huge places. At some point, he must have like 800 plus members. Yeah. A month ago, he gave the keys to another guy. We're talking with the entire place, with all the equipment, all the coaches, everything, the client list, everything, right? Basically asking the guy, please put your name on the list.
And it's yours.
And it's yours. So he gave them the key. He didn't sell the place. He gave it away with all the equipment. Everything in 2 gyms, 8,000 square feet, 11,000 square feet. Give the keys to the guy saying, please put your name on the list. I'm out. That's what you get. Yeah. So all the equipment, all the coaches, all your community, all that is gone. You just gave the keys to the guy because you hire logistic guys to see which bring more people to your gym. Because this is in fucking Starbucks. And I love Howard Schultz, by the way. I just don't like their coffee, but I think Howard Schultz is one of the greatest men. But that's not the job. This is what you get. You get the guy who just could have opened a restaurant and opened a CrossFit gym. I still have my job on the side. I'm just doing that for fun. No. Then
we're running out of time.
Almost.
Get out of the fucking way then. Yeah. Let the craftsmen take over then, because they have the passion for it and they will make it successful. If you're not that guy, you will drown yourself, but then you'll drown the other good coaches eventually. There is a identity crisis brewing in CrossFit, and we need to have a sense of urgency when it comes to it, because sooner or later, otherwise it's going to crash all of us. And I don't want that. I think CrossFit Gym can be what the Gold Gym was in the States, change the entire culture, change an entire generation of women. Already that in the States. We can change the way women are being trained themselves, or are being trained forever through CrossFit and everything. It has worked. It built a community. There is such a power there, right? But that crisis, we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
I can't let you get away without answering one question from the list of questions.
Bring on.
So, when we talk about intensity tolerance and, let's say, short, sharp, internal torque, kind of muscular failure type stuff, tell me about your self-talk, both of you, when you're both going to that place.
Okay, so it's very different because there's two chains. There's external torque and then there's internal torque. And we found out that external torque is more power, strength related, so 1 to 5 reps toward the sympathetic training system. So very aggressive kind of thing, very powerful. So doing those workouts, which are EMOMs of 2 to 4 reps, 2 to 5 reps, back to back. So it makes me gas out a lot, but I'm very, very aggressive in my self-talk, more like an asshole dad. Like, come on, just fucking move, do another set and everything. Whereas when I go through internal talk, which is more like a flow state, I can be more like a nice mom who, like, it's okay, I know it hurts, but you just need to take 2 more steps, it's all right. So I talk to myself completely differently between the two. We even use different music now.
Yeah, I think
the same.
Yeah, when we do like the heavy EMOMs or like any of that stuff, I go like Ice Cube in his prime, just like angry, and you start talking shit to the bar.
Talk shit. I do, totally.
Like you just want to knock the shit out of somebody. Like no one will even approach me because I just feel like I'm going to kill someone type thing. And the flow for me is just surviving. So it's how far can you? For me, when I go into the flow one, the IT, the strongman, the sleds, I shut my brain off. It's not even talking to myself. I shut my brain off, and I say I'm going to go to see if I can pass out, to see if I can go beyond what I've been able to do before. I want to go until I have to like just lay down and pass out or cry, whatever I need to do, but I will get to that stage. I'm not going to let myself slow down. As soon as I start slowing down, I always remember him saying you can always take 2 more steps, and I will go until I just fall over.
Yeah. I asked my daughter, because I make her carry the sandbag, say, what do you think when you're carrying the sandbag and it gets really hard? She told me, I think about baby unicorns.
Yeah, we make games so she has fun.
And so during IT, that's what, just think about baby unicorns. Go in that place and just shut it off but ET is very different. ET is talk shit. Be angry, talk shit. Me, I talk shit to myself. Like, okay, move, go to like I scream at myself in my own head. Go to the next exercise. No, go like I'm screaming at my athlete. It's the same thing. Whereas the IT, it's like I'm just flowing through it. It's like the next step, man. It's all good. It's really it's like it's all good. Just wait. It's gonna go away. It's all good. Just wait. Go to the next one, man. It's all good. So it's completely different, and my nervous system reacts completely different. The IT is more parasympathetic, so that's the flow. So it's really, it might help to think about it like ET is your own crack on meth, and IT your own weed. So it's like jiu-jitsu, and it's all like the flow. So depending where I'm at, I guess I visualize that more. Like IT is all grappling, so I know I have to pace correctly, and I have to go through, don't get exhausted. Whereas ET is like fucking just. It's like I'm doing a max box jump every time. So if you do max box jump and you don't create the full energy, you're gonna eat shit, right? You're gonna have a gash on your shins that long because you didn't put everything you had in it. So ET for me is like you don't have a choice. You gotta jump. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. You better fucking jump, because if you don't jump, you're gonna eat shit and you're gonna kill your shins on the box. So you have to have that go for it attitude on ET. Like, I'm just gonna jump, and you can't even have a second thought. Just go. And IT is more like, okay, so now let's see about on a philosophical level what I'm trying to achieve. This is when I burn the questions, and so it's completely different. And it hits the nervous system differently.
I think on one side it's focus and presence, and on the other side it's disassociation.
Yes.
And if you
there's an arch there. Yeah, there's an arch there. Yeah, it's the tension between the two. So, and then if you can have that in a sport, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at that arch between focus and disassociation, because when it starts hurting, like a jiu-jitsu fight, it hurts a lot, like grappling, but you can't zone out, otherwise you lose. But you can't go full out, otherwise you're going to gas out in 20 seconds. So that's where the arch is, and so that's why it's so important to train both one after the other in that session. So, and then we use different music and everything, and it's worked really, really well. So the nervous system is responding very strongly to this.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I'm about to run out of battery on my laptop, so I think it's a good place to wrap up. Awesome. Where can people find a bit more about you? Where you seminars next and coaches?
The strongfit.com. So the website has everything. We have our YouTube page under StrongFit, StrongFit1 for Instagram, and Facebook StrongFit.
And the next one is in Miami, right? Next weekend, and after that we go to Los Angeles.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Sweet. Later, guys.
Just quickly make sure it saves.
Yeah. Yeah, that would suck.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Alpha Movement's Mindset RX podcast. If you'd like to get exclusive content, more information about upcoming podcasts, and live stream the podcast to get your questions answered, find me, Tom Foxley, all over the socials apart from Twitter, or head over to facebook.com/Alpha Movement Official. If you're listening to the podcast, you're clearly interested in mindset to aid your performance. This is what I've spent years coaching, and now I'm bringing its boxes around the world with my Mindset RX seminar. Chances are over the next year or so, I'll be heading to your box or a box near you to show you how much impact mindset can have on your performance. If you're interested in either hosting or attending the Mindset RX seminars, shoot an email to tom@alphamovement.co and we'll see what we can do. Remember, you can also get your hands on my 2 books, Intensity Tolerance and The Impossible Art of Consistency, by searching for Tom Foxley or Mindset RX on Amazon. Anyone who buys a copy helps directly support this show. So to all of you who bought coffee, thank you, and I'll see you soon for another episode of the Mindset RX podcast.